After my husband passed, I thought I'd found peace in this quiet neighborhood. Then these fraternity guys started breaking into my pool, turning my sanctuary into their personal party spot. Every night, they'd live stream their invasions, mocking the scared widow for their TikTok followers. Security cameras? They posed for selfies. Police? They were gone before they arrived. But last night, when they brought 20 people to throw their biggest pool party yet, something in that water changed. Their viral video didn't end the way they planned. Want to know what made these cocky college boys abandon their phones and run screaming into the night? Stay with me, because this isn't just about a pool party gone wrong. It's about how one helpless widow showed them exactly who they were messing with. After 30 years of marriage, losing Jonathan felt like losing half of myself. The silence in our house became unbearable. That's when I decided to move to Oak Haven Estates, a peaceful suburban neighborhood where everyone looked out for each other. At least, that's what the realtor promised. I used my savings to install a beautiful backyard pool, a place where I could finally find some peace, maybe even smile again when my grandkids would visit. The first few weeks were exactly what I needed. The gentle sound of water at night helped me sleep for the first time since Jonathan passed. But then, things started changing. At first, it was just little things, a few beer cans floating in the pool in the morning, wet footprints on the deck. I tried to convince myself it was just neighborhood cats until that morning when I found their note tucked under my doormat. "Cool pool lady, we'll be back." I installed security cameras the next day. That's when I saw them. 6 grown men, all in their 20s, jumping my fence at 2 a.m. like they owned the place. They were laughing, pushing each other around, taking selfies with my pool in the background. One of them even looked straight into my camera and waved. The worst part? I recognized their fraternity letters. These weren't just random troublemakers. They lived in that big house just 2 blocks away, and now they knew I was watching them. But instead of stopping, they just got bolder. Every night, I'd lie awake, listening to their voices, their laughter, feeling more and more helpless in my own home. I never thought I'd feel scared in my dream house, but here I was, a 62-year-old widow, jumping at every night sound, wondering what these boys might do next. Something had to change. I just didn't know what yet. The next morning, I gathered all my courage and walked straight to that fraternity house. My hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't going to. I knocked on their door, camera phone recording in my pocket. The ringleader answered, tall, athletic, with that smug smile I'd seen on my security footage. "We need to talk about you breaking into my pool," I said firmly. He just leaned against the door frame, looking down at me like I was some amusing interruption to his day. "What pool?" he asked, smirking at his friends behind him. "Oh, you mean your pool? The one you leave empty all day? Seems like a waste, doesn't it?" I showed him my camera footage. He didn't even blink. "What are you going to do? Call your husband?" The words hit like a slap. "Oh wait," he added, "you can't." His friends laughed. That laugh would keep me awake for many nights to come. The police weren't any better. "Boys will be boys, ma'am. Just improve your security." They took my report with the same bored expression I'd seen too many times. One officer even suggested I should be flattered that young people found my pool attractive. I felt my face burn with anger and shame. The $3,000 security system became just another joke to them. That night, they posed for selfies under the floodlights, did mocking dance moves for my cameras. One even blew kisses at the lens while his friends cannonballed into my pool. When they finally left, 20 minutes before the police arrived, they'd reprogrammed my motion sensors to play their fraternity song. The neighborhood meeting was worse. "Just sell the house," the HOA president suggested, not meeting my eyes. Or maybe open the pool for community use, as if harassment was a reasonable price for living alone. Their message was clear: adapt to being victimized, or leave. Then I found their social media. They had a whole TikTok channel dedicated to their pool hopping adventures. There I was, the scared widow, the joke of their videos. "Watch her call the cops again. Security system lady strikes back." Thousands of likes, hundreds of mocking comments. Every failed solution made them bolder. Every night, they came back. I felt smaller, more helpless, until that evening when I overheard them planning something bigger. "Let's invite the whole frat next time," their leader said. "Show security lady what a real party looks like." For the first time since they started, I didn't feel scared anymore. I felt something else entirely. They thought they knew what they were dealing with, just a helpless widow who'd eventually give up. They had no idea who they were really messing with, and they were about to find out. Just when I thought I was alone in this fight, Sarah Miller from 3 houses down knocked on my door. She wasn't the Sarah I was used to seeing at neighborhood barbecues, perfectly put together, always smiling. This Sarah looked tired, worried. "I saw their TikTok videos," she said, stepping inside. "They've been terrorizing my daughter too, following her home from the gym, making comments." Her hands were shaking as she pulled out her phone. But we're not the only ones. That afternoon, my living room filled with women from all over the neighborhood. Each had a story. Karen's garden destroyed. Michelle's security cameras vandalized. Elizabeth's daughter quitting her evening job because of their harassment. These weren't just pool-hopping pranks anymore. This was a pattern. A female detective, Maria Rodriguez, came to one of our meetings. She didn't bring the usual dismissive attitude. Instead, she brought files. "This fraternity has a history," she explained, spreading photos across my coffee table. 3 neighborhoods in 5 years. They target properties owned by single women. They escalate until their victims move out. Then they start again somewhere else. That's when Jennifer Davis, our local security expert, noticed something in my camera footage. "See how they disable the cameras before the main group arrives? This isn't amateur hour. They've done this before," she pointed out, their organized positions, their timing. They're not just random troublemakers, they're methodical. We started documenting everything, every trespass, every taunt, every piece of property damage. Linda Thompson from the Neighborhood Watch installed hidden cameras. Maria Hernandez, a lawyer who'd recently moved in, helped us build a case file. Even Mrs. Chin, who barely spoke English, shared footage from her doorbell camera showing them planning their attacks. But what really got their attention was Rebecca Walters from the local news. She didn't want to run the story. Not yet, but she started showing up with her camera crew, just walking her dog when they were around. Suddenly, our local frat boys didn't feel so bold. Their first attempt to sneak in at 4 a.m. failed spectacularly. Mrs. Chen's sprinkler system accidentally activated, drenching them before they reached the fence. A week later, their midnight approach triggered Linda's new security lights, exposing them to the local patrol. When they tried coming in smaller groups, they'd find us waiting, phones live streaming, security cameras rolling, and Detective Rodriguez's card ready. Each failed attempt made their TikTok followers start questioning their cool pool guy image. The predators were becoming the prey, one humiliation at a time. "You don't look so tough on camera now," Chad Sarah Miller told their leader one night. He tried to smirk, but you could see the uncertainty in his eyes. For the first time, they were the ones feeling watched, feeling vulnerable. But we all knew this wasn't over. They were just regrouping, planning something big. "They won't stop," Detective Rodriguez warned us. "They'll just get more aggressive. These types always do." She was right. We needed something more than cameras and witnesses. We needed to end this once and for all. Looking around at these women, professionals, mothers, grandmothers, all united, all fed up, I finally understood I wasn't just protecting my pool anymore. I was fighting for all of us. And I knew exactly what I had to do. The night everything changed, I was watching their latest TikTok live stream, Pool Lady Security System Tour, they called it. Their leader, Chad Lawson, was walking around my property, pointing out every camera, every motion sensor, treating it like some kind of joke. His viewers were eating it up, leaving comments like "show her who's boss" and "time to throw a real party." I watched, hands clenched, as they demonstrated exactly how they disabled each of my security measures. And this, Chad Lawson said, smirking into his phone camera, is where the scared widow sits every night, watching us have fun in her pool. The comments exploded with laughing emojis. That's when I heard the splash. They were already in my pool, their voices echoing through my backyard. But this time was different. This time, there were more of them. Music started blasting, glass bottles clinked. I could hear girls screaming, guys shouting. This wasn't their usual midnight swim. This was a party. We own this pool now, lady. Chad Lawson's voice carried through my bedroom window. Better stay inside tonight. More laughter, more splashing. On their live stream, the viewer count kept climbing, 3,000. For 1,000, they were about to get the show of their lives. I called the police again. They said they'd send someone, again. I messaged our neighborhood group, but this time, the response was different. Don't go out there, Sarah Miller texted. They're drunk. They're dangerous. Detective Rodriguez agreed. They're trying to provoke you. That's when they get violent. Standing at my window, watching these strangers destroy my property, I felt something break inside me. Not my courage, not my spirit, but something else, that last thread of fear that had been holding me back. I watched as they knocked over my patio furniture, as they threw their empty bottles into my flower beds. Through my security cameras, I could see Chad Lawson doing a mock tutorial, and this is how you handle annoying old ladies who won't share their pools. That's when I saw Chad Lawson's reflection in my window, posing for his live stream beside my old work cabinet, the cabinet still labeled Deep Terror Special Effects Storage, the same cabinet that held the secrets to every underwater horror transformation I'd created over 25 years in Hollywood. These boys thought they were making a social media horror show. I'd spent decades making nightmares come to life. Time to show them what a real horror show looks like. I picked up my phone, but not to call the police. No, I was calling an old friend from my Hollywood days. Remember that underwater transformation effect we used in Deep Terror? I asked. The one that made the pool look toxic? Of course, I remember, Evelyn. Best practical effect we ever did, Mike Donovan said. I could hear him shuffling through boxes. But why? You need. Wait, this is about those guys, isn't it? I explained everything while gathering supplies from my garage, the harassment, the live streams, the party happening in my backyard right now. Mike Donovan didn't interrupt, didn't question. He just listened. Then he laughed. Oh, they picked the wrong pool lady to mess with. For the next hour, Mike Donovan walked me through everything. The specific chemicals needed for the glow effect, the underwater lighting setup, the perfect mixture for that thick, toxic-looking foam. Remember, he said, it's all about timing. Too early, they'll see you setting up. Too late, and you lose the impact. I had most of what I needed already. Theater smoke machines from my old effects days, industrial-grade UV lights from previous projects, non-toxic fluorescent compounds that would make the water glow like something from a nightmare. The key, Mike Donovan reminded me, is making them think it's dangerous without using anything actually harmful. Sarah Miller and Jennifer Davis arrived quietly through the side gate. We had to work fast, had to be invisible while the party raged on the other side of my house. We started transforming my pool into something else entirely. Hidden pumps for the foam effect, underwater speakers for that perfect, bubbling sound, motion sensors to trigger each stage of the transformation. Testing was crucial. One wrong mix and the effect wouldn't be convincing. Too much of anything, and we'd risk giving away the illusion. I kept thinking back to all those movie sets, all those perfectly timed effects. This had to be better. This had to be real. The first test run nearly gave Mrs. Chen a heart attack. She was taking out her trash when she saw the water start to glow, like demon pool, she whispered, but I could see the smile spreading across her face. She understood what we were doing. We all did. Detective Maria Rodriguez stopped by, took one look at our setup, and just nodded. Make sure you get it all on video, was all she said, but I saw her slip a small camera near the fence. She wanted to capture their reactions from every angle. By midnight, everything was ready. The chemicals were mixed, the lights were in position, the sensors were set. Now we just needed our audience. On their live stream, Chad Lawson was still going strong, promising an even bigger party tomorrow night. "Cool lady thinks she's got us figured out," he laughed, looking at my transformed pool. Remembering every effect I'd ever created for every horror movie I'd worked on, I smiled. Tomorrow night would be my finest work yet. Not because of the technical aspects, I'd done far more complicated effects. No, this would be special because, for once, the monsters in my show would be real, and they were about to get the scare of their lives. The next morning, their TikTok channel was buzzing with plans for tonight's party. Epic Pool Takeover 2.0, they called it. Perfect. Let them come confident. Let them come cocky. Everything was ready. Sarah Miller monitored their social media all day. "They're bringing even more people," she texted. "At least 20 confirmed." I smiled. The more witnesses, the better. Jennifer Davis had positioned cameras at every angle. We wouldn't miss a single reaction. By sunset, my pool looked completely normal. That was the beauty of it. The UV-reactive chemicals were invisible in daylight. The fog machines were hidden in my garden decorations. Every speaker, every light, every sensor was perfectly concealed, all waiting for the right moment. Detective Maria Rodriguez stopped by one last time. "Remember," she said, "checking our setup, we want them scared, not hurt." She pointed at specific spots around the pool. "These are your best camera angles. Make sure you catch their faces when it happens." She wasn't just thinking about tonight. She was thinking about evidence. The Neighborhood Watch group had their roles. Linda Thompson would monitor the street cameras. Mrs. Chin would alert us when they started gathering. Maria Hernandez would record everything from her upstairs window. We weren't just creating a scare. We were documenting every second. I ran through the sequence one more time. First, the subtle temperature change in the water. Then, the faint green glow, starting from the bottom. Next, the bubbling slowly at first, then more violent. Finally, the fog would roll in as the water turned toxic neon green, thick foam rising from below. Mike Donovan called to check the timing. "Wait until they're all in," he advised. "The effect is strongest when they're already comfortable, when they think they're in control." He'd used this technique in countless horror films, the false sense of security before everything changes. On their live stream, Chad Lawson was rallying his followers. "Tonight, we show Pool Lady who really owns this neighborhood." The comments section filled with excitement. They were treating it like a show. Well, they were about to get one, just not the kind they expected. I watched the sunset from my window, thinking about how different this night would be from all the others. No more feeling helpless, no more being the victim of their jokes. Tonight, the story would change. Tonight, they'd learn what happens when you push the wrong person too far. As darkness fell, I checked every trigger one last time. The chemicals were ready, the lights were set, the cameras were rolling. Now we just had to wait. Their confident voices were already echoing down the street. Chad Lawson's live stream was starting up again. "Pool Lady's lights are off," Chad Lawson's voice carried through the darkness. You know what that means. On his live stream, viewer counts were climbing, 3,000. 4,000, they were about to get the show of their lives. The first group came over my fence like they owned it, Chad Lawson leading the charge, phone held high to capture their victory. 5 more guys followed, then another 4. Some were already stripping down to their swim trunks. The party was starting. "Let's wake up the whole neighborhood," Chad Lawson shouted to his live audience. Music started blasting, bottles clinked. Someone cannonballed into my pool, sending water splashing everywhere. Just like we planned. I watched through my security feed as they got comfortable. 15 people in my pool now, laughing, splashing, showing off for Chad Lawson's stream. Pool Lady probably called the cops again. Someone yelled. "Let them come," Chad Lawson laughed. This pool is ours tonight. That's when I pressed the first button. The water temperature dropped, just slightly. Not enough to shock, just enough to notice. Did it get colder? Someone asked. Chad Lawson brushed it off. Probably just the night air. Second button. Deep in the pool, a faint green glow began to spread. So subtle at first that only a few people noticed. Hey, what's that? A girl pointed at the water. Probably just the pool lights, Chad Lawson assured everyone, but I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. Third button. The bubbling started. Small at first, then growing stronger. The green glow intensified. Someone screamed. The music stopped. What's happening to the water? That's when I triggered everything at once. The fog rolled in, thick and fast, across the water's surface. The gentle bubbling turned into a violent churning. The faint green glow erupted into a brilliant, toxic neon that lit up the entire backyard. Thick, glowing foam started rising from the depths. The screaming started instantly. Bodies scrambled to get out of the pool, pushing and shoving in panic. Chad Lawson's live stream captured everything: the terror, the chaos, the desperate scramble to escape. It's toxic, someone shrieked. Get out! Get out! They ran. Oh, how they ran. Soaking wet, leaving clothes and phones behind, scrambling over each other to get away from my toxic pool. Chad Lawson's phone kept streaming as he fled, capturing their terrified faces from every angle. 20 seconds. That's all it took to clear my backyard. 20 seconds to turn their cocky invasion into a panicked retreat. On the fallen phone, still live streaming by the pool's edge, comments were flooding in. What just happened? Did you see that? The pool turned toxic. I walked out onto my back porch, picked up Chad Lawson's phone, and smiled into the camera. Show's over, boys. But don't worry, the sequel will be even better, if you dare to come back. Then I ended their live stream, leaving thousands of viewers with that final image, me, standing triumphant beside my glowing green pool. By morning, the video had gone viral. Not their triumphant pool party video, no, the one showing their terrified escape from the toxic pool. 5 million views and climbing. The comments were ruthless. Pool lady is a legend. Best karma ever. They messed with the wrong widow. The university board called an emergency meeting. Apparently, breaking into an older woman's property and terrorizing her didn't fit with their values and standards. Chad Lawson and his friends were facing disciplinary action, their fraternity suspended pending investigation. Local news vans lined my street. Hollywood Effects Queen teaches pool crashers unforgettable lesson. Read the headlines. Other women started reaching out, property owners dealing with similar issues, asking how I did it. The police even requested my security footage for their community safety workshops. But the best part? The next time I saw Chad Lawson and his friends on the street, they crossed to the other side. No more smirks, no more taunts, just quiet respect and maybe a hint of fear. The neighborhood felt different now, safer, not just for me, but for every woman they used to target. Detective Maria Rodriguez dropped by with an unexpected update. Other victims of their harassment are coming forward, years of documented incidents. Your video, she said, gave them the courage to speak up. Sometimes all it takes is one person standing up to bullies to inspire others. The fraternity's national office issued a formal apology. They're now implementing new harassment prevention programs, using my security footage as a teaching tool. And me? I finally found that piece I was looking for, right here in Oak Haven Estates. The gentle sound of the water at night is soothing again, and now I often hear the happy splashes of my grandkids, who visit more often than ever, unafraid and delighted to swim in their grandma's legendary pool.